And also, I really believe in balance. Balance is really important to me, and it's important for sustainability reasons, but also there's so many fitness coaches out there that say food is fuel, food is only fuel, but like it's not. It's a part of our culture, it's a part of our social events. If your daughter's having her birthday, you should be able to have cake with her and not feel guilty about it. So I do believe balance is so important.
Oh,
So celebrating our weekly wins. So you guys drop those down in the chat box. So that's great. Can you guys also drop a worry or some anxiety that you're feeling, whether it's like, how do I balance so many social events? How do I stay out of the lunchroom treats? Or, I'm worried about what people think of my fitness journey when I'm at these events. If you want to drop a worry into or an anxiety that you have related to the holidays and your fitness program into the chat box for me, that'd be great. I'm going to go through the presentation, but I do want to see those because I want to make sure that I address everything for you guys. So if you want to just start dropping those in, that would be great. And I'll continue to go through my presentation in the meantime. And I see a few coming in, so amazing. So the first question I would ask you when it comes to like a crazy month full of events is how many events do you have? So if you can take a look at that, if you have like an event every weekend, then yeah, we do have to come up with a strategy for that. If your event is December 25th and you want to go hard on December 25th, then I'd say, we don't have to necessarily come up with a strategy for that because having one day of indulgence isn't going to derail all your progress for the month. Da, da. So if you have one social event, not a big deal. I would suggest don't macro track that day, just fully enjoy. But keep in mind that that's not the last time you'll indulge. So don't feel like it has to be all or nothing. Sometimes we're eating because we think like, oh, this is my only chance. Like the last time I'm going to have M&Ms for 6 months or whatever it is. And there's someone in this group that I know likes M&Ms, so that's why I said M&Ms. But you can with macro tracking, you can work those foods into your meals. So try not to think of an all or nothing kind of mindset. Now, if you have multiple events, then we should prioritize them. Maybe you have 4 events this month, but there's 2 of them that you're like, I really want to indulge at those, but I'm going to stay more disciplined at the other 2. So this is all about balance. But I'm going to show you now what a balanced approach would look like and how to set yourself up for success. So starting with the pre-event strategies for holiday success. So first of all, if I have an event where maybe it's like a social gathering and there's treats around, but it's not a meal, then I'll probably fill up on protein before that event. So I'm not feeling as snacky. So I can still indulge on the treats that I want, but I'm not really really hungry because if you are in a situation where you're super hungry and there's not a lot of protein around, then you're going to be filling up on quick carbohydrates that aren't going to keep you full and they're going to spike your blood sugar levels. And I'll tell you what happens with that. It's kind of a vicious cycle. If you think of a day that got derailed in the past from you before, maybe at the start of the day, you had a ton of carbs. Maybe then you went to the movies, you had a whole bunch of popcorn, and then you're just craving these foods all day long. There's a reason for it. It's because your blood sugar will drop a little bit. And when I say drop, I never mean hypoglycemic. I just mean it goes down a little bit. And then what's natural for our bodies is we want carbs to get our blood sugar back up. And that is like from the caveman days. So that's a normal feeling. But the problem with that is then we get into this vicious cycle of ups and downs with our blood sugar levels and then a whole day being derailed. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling like a kind of like really snacky with the carbs and the sugars, then get some protein into you right away. It's going to help stabilize your blood sugar levels, but also pre-plan for those events with protein so that that sort of thing doesn't happen. And by the way, my cat is like meowing and stuff, so I'm sorry about that. I think she wants dinner and I forgot to give them dinner. Um, the other thing that you can do pre-event is let's say you know for sure it's a pizza day at your school. Maybe you're a teacher. Then what I would do is I'd add that pizza into my fitness pal and I'd work my day around that meal. So when it comes to like budgeting, you've got fixed expenses and then you've got expenses that are not fixed. And the word eludes me right now. But you can think of that meal as a fixed expense. So you have to add it in and then you work the rest of your day around it. And so if you only have one big event, I'd say don't worry about it. But if you've got multiple, then let's work our way around that. Let's incorporate it and then work the rest of the day around it. Let's say you have an event, but you're not sure what you're going to eat. So it's kind of hard for you to pre plan. Then I would say save up a good portion of your carbs and your fats so that you have lots of wiggle room for that event. So you'd want to keep your other meals for the rest of the day slightly leaner. So what that might look like is maybe you have egg whites instead of eggs to save on the fat for breakfast with whatever you want to have it with. Like you could have a slice of toast with that. Maybe for lunch, you have what Kathy's having for dinner, which is a salad with chicken on it. Maybe you hold off on the quinoa because you want to save the carbs for the meal. Typically, when it comes to like fun meals, they are higher in carbs and they're higher in fat. And so that's why those are kind of like the fun macros. And so if you can hold on to those macros during the day to save them for that meal, then it really does make a difference. Water is another good one to hydrate. Water helps a lot with controlling appetite. It's also required for lipolysis or I always mess this word up, but basically the process where the body breaks down fat for energy. So if you don't have enough water, then the breakdown of fat actually slows down. So that's also why on your daily goals, I suggest that we have a water goal because I mean, for so many different reasons, but it also helps with the process of breaking down body fat. So kind of cool. Just want to make sure I hit everything here. All right. On to the next one. Does anyone have any questions so far, by the way? If you do, you can blurt them out, but I'm also going to get to a Q&A slide in a few seconds. This is a short presentation. All right. So when you're at the party or the event, let's go over some social or some strategies. So first off is alcohol. So what to do in terms of alcohol. So if you're a person that goes to an event and has like 14 drinks, you're going to I'll have a different game plan for you than someone that goes to an event and has 2 drinks. If you're someone that goes to an event and has 14 drinks, I would say, can you cut that down to 10? So just small changes that are relevant to you and what you do, right? If you're someone that has 2 drinks, I would say it's probably okay. But if you want to cut it down to 1, you can. So the thing with alcohol is your body stops burning fat to process alcohol when you ingest it because your body sees it as a toxin that needs to be removed immediately. And none of the stuff I say is like witchcraft. It's all based on science. I always, always, always make sure that whatever I'm doing with you guys, there's a basis for it. So fat burning is paused for several hours when you ingest alcohol. And the thing is, usually when we're drinking alcohol, we're also snacking. And the issue with that is that carbs and fats we have while we're drinking are much more likely to be stored as fat. That doesn't mean that they are absolutely going to be stored as fat, but the likelihood is a lot higher if you're drinking while you're snacking. The alcohol calories are also more likely to be stored around the midsection. And this is why the beer belly term exists. So one night out, is it going to give you a beer belly? Absolutely not. But if you are going to store fat while you're drinking alcohol, it's more likely going to be stored in that area. So what I'd suggest is enjoy a couple of drinks. A couple of drinks is not going to be like game over for you. This is more so like if you're drinking all the time. So I'd say have a couple of drinks. There are videos in the app that I recorded on how to count alcohol. So if it's, you're drinking every weekend at all of these parties, then we have to come up with a game plan, right? That is kind of like the theme for this. But if you're just having one indulgent day, maybe for Christmas, here's happy, she says hi, then, just enjoy yourself, but practice moderation. If you can do one drink and then the next one have some water or a Diet Coke or something or a Diet Pop and then go back to the drink, then that's probably like a nice way to do things. That way I never want you guys to feel like you're giving up too much at these events. I want you to be able to indulge, enjoy, let it be lower stress. But do know that, if we indulge at every single event, every single time, that will have an impact on your progress. And that's just me being realistic with you guys. So when you are choosing your meal at your holiday event, try and keep things balanced. So let's say I go into an event and I'm like, I'm going to have a couple drinks. I also want to have dessert. Those are the things that are really priority for me. Then my main meal, I'm going to load up on lean protein. So maybe if we're having turkey, I'm going to have turkey breast instead of the dark meat because I'm going to save on the fat. I'm going to keep the carbs on the lower end during that meal so that I can like spend them on my dessert. So that is what I'd suggest. So you kind of have to come in with an idea of what you want to do so that you can keep things balanced. That's also so you feel good because if you go like hard on every single thing, you drink as much as possible, you have like a crazy indulgent app, a crazy indulgent main meal, crazy indulgent dessert, you probably are not going to feel very good. You're probably going to be extremely bloated the next day. So this is not only for body composition reasons, but also so that you feel good. So let's say the event is a potluck. What I'd suggest to you is bring a lean protein. That reduces all stress right there. So I would bring you can take chicken breast, put it in the crock pot, put some like tomato paste in it with chicken stock and salt and pepper and herbs, and you've got pulled chicken. Super easy. And then you know that you have a lean protein that's going to help stabilize your blood sugar levels for the event, and you can fill up on it. If you're eating out at a restaurant, one thing I always suggest is there's always going to be hidden fats. So whenever I eat out, if I'm macro tracking it, and like I've said a few times now, you don't have to macro track. It's just if you have multiple events, then we do kind of have to we have to be realistic with it. So if you're eating out, what I always do is I always add a tablespoon of olive oil to my MyFitnessPal because your vegetables will likely be cooked in oil. Your meat will likely be cooked in oil. There will likely, if you're having like mashed potatoes, I'm sure that they add cream or fat to those. So there's always hidden fats in these meals. If you're cooking on the pan and you're cooking with an oil, that oil doesn't just evaporate. That is absorbed into your food, and that's why we have to count it. So those are kind of like hidden calories that get lost if you're not aware of it, and they add up because fat, there are 9 calories per gram. It's our most calorie dense macronutrients. So we have to be careful with it. If you're traveling for Christmas, pack lots of high protein, easy snacks that are already in serving sizes. So Nordica cottage cheese, they have little cups. Oikos Greek yogurt, they have little cups. If you're dairy free, you can get both of those dairy free. Protein powder in a shaker cup. I always have that on me. Beef jerky, Fairlife protein shakes. There's so many options. And that's just for hitting the road so that you feel good and you can indulge at your Christmas event. All right, last slide, and then I'll get you guys talking. So, a mindset shift for holiday resilience. So, first of all, no one is perfect. I am not perfect. I don't expect perfection from anyone. If you think like I'm hitting every Christmas party, I'm going to hit perfect macros, you are already going to set yourself up for failure because there are so many there's so many things that you can indulge on, and I'd rather you guys just enjoy the event. So I'd rather you go in with some sort of game plan, but enjoy the event and you take that pressure of perfectionism off. The other thing I wanted to talk about was guilt. So getting rid of that guilt that you associate with those foods. Sure, food is fuel, but also it's so important for our day-to-day lives. And this is a journey, right? You didn't just sign up for 90 days to lose weight and then, go back to old habits. We need to know how to incorporate it long term. That's also why if you're the person that has 14 drinks at these events, I'm not going to tell you to go down to 2 because is that sustainable for you long term? No, right? So we have to do something that's sustainable, but we also have to be realistic because you want to make progress, right? Or you want to maintain progress. So the other thing I want to go over was the environment, right? Don't let other people pressure you into eating a certain way. When someone makes a lot of progress on their fitness journey, people are often jealous or they often have opinions and they make unwanted comments that can make us extremely uncomfortable. Be compassionate with yourself. They don't know your journey or your why. I remember when I used to go back to my hometown when I initially had lost a bunch of weight, I wasn't even conscious I was doing this. I would indulge on foods that I would never even eat because I didn't enjoy them. I'm not a big foodie, and I didn't realize I was doing that, but I was doing it to comfort people around me because I had just lost a bunch of weight, and my perception of what they were thinking was like that I wasn't eating or something like that. So I was like subconsciously doing this thing that I didn't even enjoy. And I also had it in my mind that these people were thinking these things about me that maybe they weren't even thinking, or maybe they had said comments. I can't even remember because it's been like 13 years since I did that. But maybe that's something you do as well. And maybe you're not even enjoying the act of eating those foods. So it's something to think about. Um, so they don't know your journey or your why. So some things that you can say if somebody says something negative to you, or maybe they're like, oh, you're only eating that or whatever, you can always say, like, I know you mean well, but comments about my weight make me uncomfortable. Or you can say, I'd rather we keep the conversations supportive. I'm just eating what feels good for me today and move on from that conversation. Or you can just say, like, I'm good with this, whatever you're eating, but everything else looks great. Thank you so much. So I think it's easier if you just directly nip that stuff in the butt and move on, because a lot of people, even if sometimes people want to give you advice because they really do care about you and it's coming from a good place, but it can come off the wrong way. And the thing is, like, I don't ever make assumptions about people with what they're eating or whatever, because you just don't know what somebody's going through. And you don't even know, like, you just don't know anything about their journey, like mental, physical, anything at all. So I just try and shut down those conversations. And me, as somebody who's huge into fitness, I never judge what people's eating when I'm at these types of events and stuff. So I think it should work the other way as well. So I just try to be supportive, but with that kind of stuff, I used to shut it down when it would bother me. All right, so the day after, what to do. So this is so important. Don't restrict your food or over exercise. I work with a lot of women that restrict. It's a thing that people do. They restrict food, but restriction causes a binge restrict cycle. So when you drastically cut food or punish yourself with exercise, your body and brain feel deprived. This increases your chances of intense cravings, overeating later, another binge, feeling out of control around food. And this is kind of what keeps people stuck, because if you restrict food, you're going to be so hungry. We talked about blood sugar and how that works, that you're then going to binge. What are you going to binge on? Probably salty or sugary foods, carbohydrates. And then what are you going to do? You're going to restrict. And then you're likely going to binge. And it's this vicious cycle. And the problem with that is also the relationship with food, right? Then we create this terrible relationship with food. So don't restrict. Even if you go over your calories by like 6,000, do not restrict. Go right back to your regular macros the next day. Extreme restriction slows down your metabolism, making fat loss a lot harder. And yeah, punishment creates the harmful relationship with food. What eating normally does the next day is it stabilizes your blood sugar levels, it stabilizes your hunger hormones. So these hormones are so important to keep you feeling full. This is why I do refeed days with you guys, but I do them at very strategic intervals. It's different for everybody. It's not like every 4 weeks or something like that. It's kind of dependent on your progress and what's going on. But we do refeed days to help with leptin and ghrelin levels, which help with your hunger, like your hunger hormones. So it's really important. When it comes to exercise, doing too much can actually reduce fat loss. More is not always better. Our bodies are really, really good at controlling cortisol. I think like the media has, marketing media for fitness has talked way too much about cortisol over the years, because our bodies are really good at regulating it. But if you do like this crazy restrict and then binge and restrict and then binge thing, that does impact your cortisol levels. And then that almost compounds the issue of not being able to lose body weight after. So a consistent, sustainable approach burns more fat than any extreme ever will. So all in all, guys, don't just balance is what's important. So if you've got like 4 or 5 different events, let's come up with a plan for those, prioritize them, take a look at the ones that you really want to indulge more at, and then the ones that you can be more disciplined at. And if everything's pretty much the same, then just go in with this mindset that I'm going to indulge a little bit but not at everything. And the reason for that is because I do flexible dieting and I can incorporate these foods whenever I want. Somebody had mentioned they ate something, a cookie or something, and they didn't let that derail the rest of their day. I love that. There is an analogy. If you get one flat tire, you're not gonna, go stick a knife in the rest of the tires, right? So it's the same thing. If you go off plan for a meal or something like that, it's not a big deal. There are 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. So accidentally eating a cookie here and there, not the end of the world. I do macro spot checks on you guys because my job is to push you, right? But I don't expect perfection from you guys, especially during the holiday seasons. We just have to keep things in check so that you can indulge, but also make progress. Alrighty. So let's have some open dialogue. I'm just going to, I'm new with this like screen sharing thing on here. So